we've been talking about libraries quite a bit. So we're going to spend maybe next 5 minutes on libraries on the open source component, and then we will dive into the topics which are very, very relevant. What does it really mean from a vulnerability management workflow perspective, and what is Zurich's internal policy? So let me quickly walk you through the libraries tab here. And all right, so that's good. So we were looking at this vulnerability in this application WebCode app. What you're going to notice is there is a tab here which is related to the libraries, right? So we can click on the libraries, and when we click on libraries, you're going to see over here that it presents a view to you about the libraries that are there in this application. If you want to filter this view, you can click in here and you can say, I want to look at vulnerable libraries, so which I am actually just interested in, the vulnerable ones here. And you can see that with these vulnerable libraries, there's common collections -3.2.1.jar. This is the version that we're currently using, 3.2.1, which was released in April 2008. And this one is from November 2015. So this version is like maybe 7 years behind. And then version 3.2. So it looks like a minor update, not a major update to this one. And what we can also see that this library has a CVEs, which is the open known vulnerabilities in this libraries. There are 3, and there are 2 of them which have a score of 7.5, and one of them has a score of 10, which is pretty, which is the highest you get. Anyway, so that's good. So that's what we see. But what is interesting is with this library, we have not seen any data flow with that specific library. So there are 458 classes in this library, and none of them have seen any data flow here, right? So this part here, status, which is beta, which is coming up, which has just recently come up, you can go ahead and say, you can set statuses around this library. So you can say when you come in, if you address, you can mark them as remediated. I think this might have gotten enabled just very recently, and you can mark them as remediated or not a problem if you see that or reported. So, so that's something which has come in very recently. But overall, if you look at the library, the first thing you do is you look at the libraries which are vulnerable. For the libraries which are vulnerable, probably the second thing you want to see is which libraries have seen a data flow. For the ones which you have seen the data flow, you probably want to look at the libraries with the highest CVSS or CVE score here, which is 10 here. So CVSS score here is 10. You want to, you want to probably prioritize those as well. But let's go inside, because it actually provides a very fascinating view here with the libraries. Maybe I will click on this first one here. So what it provides when you look in here inside the library, what you see is this one shows on which applications is this library. A lot of times what will happen is people will come in and they'll ask you, do you have exposure to this specific thing that has happened at, I don't know, Capital One or something else, right? And you realize that that is related to a library. You can come in here and within a matter of seconds, you can actually answer that question. And the way to do it is, if your app is instrumented with Contrast, you will say, okay, so the application, my application shows up here. So yeah, we do have it. The next question is, where do we have exposure? And here you can see the servers. It shows GD server, but if this library was on multiple application, multiple servers, not only will we be able to tell which applications are exposed, you will be able to tell which servers are running this library. So you can put a defense on those servers, or you could decide to update those servers as soon as possible, right? So here are some of the details around the vulnerabilities. You can actually see CVE, this is 7.5. It provides some details. This is CVSS score 7.5, CVSS score of 10. So you will see some of these details here, and essentially that's the information you get. If you are someone who is concerned about libraries, one thing I would say is look at the 2 things. Look at the CVSS score, probably. Look at the data flow. That will give you an indication on what you want to do. Look, I mean, there are lots and lots of libraries in code. Sometimes 70%, 80% of the code could be just the third-party libraries. And sometimes there can be a lot of vulnerabilities in this library. So you have to prioritize sometimes. So if you want to prioritize, I will prioritize the library with the data flow and higher CVSS score. And thus, once you have identified the library version, the next question is, to which version should we go? I would recommend looking at this, but I might also say that look at this library and also do a little bit of a research on this and see, there are some reference details around NVD. We're going to actually do a session just around this. I was talking to Pauline. So we'll say, how do you really go about this workflow to do this? And once you've seen that, you probably want to replace the library. And once you have replaced the library, there is a period of time within which actually the library will fall off with the server. But I would not get into the workflow given our time here. We will do something separate. But library is a really, really pertinent issue as well. And we'll spend some more time on this. But please, when you come in here, I think this is how you could approach it. Something which is very, very unique to Contrast is this piece here, which is the usage of the libraries and seeing which classes have seen a data flow. I would use that as a definite data point to decide which libraries I want to address.